What's up, guys, and hello from the beautiful islands of the Philippines. So, the Philippines is starting to open up for tourism. Kinda. Let me explain. I'm getting people are sending me messages. Hey, I heard the Philippines is opening up for tourist destinations and stuff like that. Can we finally come to the Philippines? Can we finally visit our girlfriend or families or whatever? Well, like I said, kinda they are. Let me tell you what's going on. Let me explain to you what's going on here. Got a couple articles here I want to read. Where are we at here? Like I said, there are certain places that are opening. Boracay. Boracay is one that is opening up for tourists. I'm going to read it right here. Boracay opened to tourists, including kids and elderly, starting October 1st. The Philippines government will allow tourists from areas under general community quarantine and modified general community quarantine to travel to Boracay Island starting October 1st. The decision was formalized in resolution number 74 in the Internal Agency Task Force of Emergency Infectious Disease. Residents from Western Visayas, the region where Boracay is located, are also allowed to visit the top tourist destination. Even kids and elderly can visit and vacation in Boracay. If you're not aware of it, if you're over 60 here, in this area and other areas, you are still forbidden to travel around. They still want you to stay locked in. They want your family member or whoever to travel to get whatever you need. Now, if you're single and you're by yourself, that's the exception. But also, those under 21 are still not allowed to be out and about. Do you see it? Yes. You go to the malls, you don't see it. They restrict them. So now they're saying elderly and those under 21 are allowed to travel to Boracay. Age restrictions for this purpose shall be relaxed. Restrictions as to persons with, I guess what they're saying is, like, if you have a disease or something like that and elderly, they're still not going to allow you to travel. What is required? A swab test result required. But island goers will have to get a negative result from the RT-PCR swab test. Tourists need to get the test no earlier than 48 hours prior to the date of travel. They are also strongly advised to go into quarantine right after undergoing the test and until their date of departure for Boracay. The Godofredo R. Ramos Airport in Cataclan will be the sole port of entry for tourists arriving by airport. A central port shall be established to screen tourists traveling by air, land, and or sea. Excuse me. Coronavirus health protocols like mask wearing and physical distancing will be strictly enforced in the island, which must have a COVID-19 laboratory. Different rules for Boracay, allowing GCQ and MGCQ tourists in Boracay, which is under the MGCQ classification, is a departure from the overall rule that persons from an area under the strict quarantine classifications can travel to an area under a looser classification unless they are authorized. In other words, we are an MGCQ, which is the highest, the most relaxed. GCQ is the one under that. Before, they would not allow you to travel if you were in a GCQ area into an MGCQ area. Are you following all the cues? Now they're saying they're allowing it and making it the exception for down there. But it seems government made an exception for Boracay, given its local economy dependence on tourism. The Department of Transportation is trying out a tourism bubble concept where certain tourist hotspots can be gradually open for leisure travel as long as entry is regulated and health protocols enforced. And it goes on to say the Boracay Task Force powers has been extended until May 2021 by President Rodrigo Duterte. If you're not familiar, Back in 2018, it was shut down. Boracay was shut down for 6 months. No tourism coming in. They were working on the infrastructure and other things like that. They wanted to bring them up to par. So they took a big hit for 6 months. Now, prior to this lockdown, I know they were hurting for money also. Lut and I had booked a trip to go down there like prior to all this going on in the lockdowns. And for two of us, for like 5 nights, 6 days, airfare, transportation fees, everything included, it's like $400, a little over. So they did take a big hit. Now there's also other areas here in the Philippines that are starting to open up their borders and allow tourism to come in. Another one is, I could find it here, Baguio City. Baguio City is starting to open up also. I'm going to read the article here. Kind of explains what's going on. It says the summer capital of the Philippines is set to reopen this September. After nearly 6 months of quarantine, Baguio City is set to reopen their borders to neighboring cities, Pangasinan, La Union, Ilocos Sur, and Ilocos Norte, forming the first travel bubble in the country. The Philippines news agency confirmed the news. It goes on to say the travel bubble agreement was signed by LGU, Baguio City, Pangasinan, and Ilocos Norte. The protocols, Baguio City reopening safety protocols. See, they're all going to have protocols. As expected, the protocols for reopening borders for travels are pretty stringent. So if you're from Baguio City or any of the 4 listed Ilocos provinces, the Baguio City Public Information Office Facebook page lists what travelers can expect. Travelers will need to pre-register via the Baguio VISITA Visitor Center and Travel Assistance app upon traveling prior to their arrival. Tourists are required to pre-book their accommodations only in hotels that have obtained a CAO, a Certificate Authorization Operation, from the Department of Tourism and the local government. On the same note, staying with friends and relatives is strictly prohibited. Tourists must also be assisted by an accredited tourist operator or agency and declare their itinerary. This will allow for easier contact and tracing and monitoring of tourist movements. Travelers will undergo mandatory triage and PCR testing upon arrival. Fees are to be shouldered by the tourist or the traveler. At the triage and testing, tourists are required to quarantine in the hotel for up to 9 hours while waiting for the results. Those who test positive for the COVID-19 will be handled by the hotel and the LGU. Hotels obtaining a CAO and accredited tour operations are required to monitor the customer movements closely. So they're opening it up. From what I'm reading, I mean, this is a step in a positive direction. Before they can start allowing international travel coming into the Philippines, they have to start allowing people within the Philippines to move to these destinations. My personal opinion, they're going to take like Baguio, they're going to take like Boracay, and that's going to be the model. That's what they're going to look at everything, see how everything goes, see how the cases are, if cases go up, if cases don't go down. But I can guarantee you, I mean, you've seen it, what I read about Baguio, they are going to monitor the person all the way through. From the swab test here, my camera shut off, sorry guys. From the swab test here, and no matter where you're coming from, they're going to monitor you the whole way. From the airport, getting off the airport, traveling on transportation, going to your hotel, in your hotel, leaving your hotel, going to eat, leaving. They're going to monitor it the whole way. And you can't blame them. They want to make sure that these places are going to be safe. I know I have friends here that, you know, if given the chance, they would travel in a heartbeat. I got friends here that are scuba divers, and they could travel and wish they could travel there in a heartbeat, but they can't. They can't travel because, first of all, the resort's not even open. So there are people that do want to travel, and I know there's people in the Philippines that just want to get away. They have been locked up in the Philippines for where they live for a long time now. They don't care if they got to follow all the rules and they got to be tested. And people just want to get away. They want to get away from the area just to, like, relax. Because it is stressful on people. Like Lutz said, a lot of people here are taking it very hard. I mean, it's sad to say some people are, you know, they're taking their lives because they can't deal with the stress of not working, not being able to provide for their family. Now, are those the people that are going to be able to take these trips? Probably not, but you know what? If they would start allowing some of the resorts kind of in the area here to open up where families can go and swim just to get away, I think they would. So, what's it look like for international tourists? You guys have been saying, leaving me messages, when can we come to the Philippines? When am I able to come to the Philippines and visit my family and or my girlfriend or whatever? Well, don't pack your bags yet. Someone sent me this one. Now this is from the beginning of the month. Philippines will not open to international tourism until the second half of 2021. The Philippines will not open its borders to international visitors until the second half of 2021 and plan to gradually reactivate domestic tourism in October, as spokesman for the Department of Tourism said. When other countries lift border controls, the Department of Tourism expects international visitors from the regions in the second half of 2020. Rather than fully opening up to foreigner visitors, the Philippines plans to create travel bubbles with countries in the region, which have generally been successful in containing the COVID-19. And then it goes on to say the Philippines has imposed one of the longest and strictest quarantines in the world, which have particularly affected the tourism, transport, and aviation sector, as not only the country's borders are closed, but movement between provinces are also restricted. So they're saying mid-2021, and that is opening up to those that have been able to contain and keep their cases low. Will things change when they have a vaccination? Time will tell. Time will tell. Now, this is only what they're putting out now this past month. Like I said, I think they're going to use them as a study point. Boracay, Baguio City, maybe other areas that I'm not aware with, to see how it goes. But it is a positive, it's moving in a positive direction here, allowing the people here within this country to travel to different areas. I know when things are allowed open, I plan on it, look plans on it, we plan to do some more traveling. Right now, one step at a time, one step at a time. So I hope that kind of helps you know what's going on here. Like I said, people asked me, that's what I know. As more information comes out, I'll share it. But as of right now, if you are in America, Australia, Canada, Germany, Netherlands, Switzerland, Sweden, don't pack your bags anytime soon, because they have not opened up the borders here for international tourism. With that being said, take care of yourself, take care of each other, take care of the sick, the elderly, and the young. If you have pets, take care of your pets, and we'll talk to you later.